Hello everyone. This week I wanted to share some of the progress I've been making in my new home. I've been ever so slowly trying to find time outside of work to put things in place and organize. I'm still a long ways away from getting things to where I'd like them to be. However, I have started my flower garden, made plans for future tidying of the property, and of course adopted more houseplants because apparently 3 dozen isn't enough. I am currently working on painting the walls, and so far it is taking forever, but I hope to show you what I've been up to very soon. At the end of this video, I'm going to go more into detail on how I transform my space using simple techniques and focus on secondhand, repurposed, and gifted items for a very unique look. However, I will say that changing your space doesn't necessarily mean bringing new items into your home. Instead, before I make any decisions, I like to focus on my senses. Usually that means sitting, experiencing the space, considering how I want to feel when I enter my home. Be that vibrant, energetic, or peaceful and tranquil. A consideration for me is what my pets enjoy as well. For example, my cat and bunny like sunlight and quiet. Iker loves classical music and rugs. For the sense of sight, I like to hang fascinators in my windows and all types of fun little items made of glass that capture the sun rays and cast rainbows on the floor, as well as curtains that filter the light. I also think how a space smells has a conscious and subconscious effect on how we feel, so I consider candles and diffusers to be important. In order to transform a normal piece of furniture and make it more unique, I like to change the knobs as well as add little decorative accents. For example, this dining table is quite worn, and I will be sanding it and painting it very soon. Stay tuned in the next week or two for a more or less completed house tour so you can see how the space is starting to come together and hopefully feel inspired to imbue your personality into where you live and really set free your creativity. Of course, my house wouldn't feel complete if it wasn't for my pets and cozy evenings after work baking with them. While my home is still not absolutely 100% complete, I did want to share at least what I have done, and I also am going to share a completed home tour, hopefully next week. Complete home tour, because we are finally mostly complete with renovations. So you also probably know from my past videos, I am very passionate about budgeting and finances and simple living and frugality where possible, and also taking into consideration sustainability. So for me, my simple answer to bringing nature into consideration in regards to my space is to buy things secondhand where possible. And for example, this shirt, it's a because I am an Etsy shop owner, I of course love to support other Etsy shops. That is something that's very important to me in order to help other businesses across the world. I also try to purchase some items locally that I normally wouldn't get secondhand. For example, I have a very hard time finding rugs secondhand that are not smelly. A lot of rugs that are very old just have a smell that I can't get out of it no matter how many times I shampoo it. So that is one thing I decided to get new, but a lot of things, even Luke had a lot of furniture in his home, some of it which I have sanded and repurposed and painted. I also wanted to have a very lovely, hi baby, Iger is here. I don't think that there's any reason that anyone needs to go out and buy expensive items to transform their space. And I think it comes down to, for me at least, some very basic principles that make a huge difference. And those are in regards to your senses. And for me, whenever I am thinking about how I want to make a space more conducive to helping my anxiety, helping me feel like my best self, I think that so many videos I see focus so much on the visual appeal. I love making videos that are all about visual beauty and nature and home life. But I think that is perhaps the least important part in a way, because I think how your space feels encompasses so much more than its aesthetic quality. So one thing that I do always think about is sounds. I like to hang up items such as soft wind chimes or have a little fountain running in my house that just sounds calming and brings me back to nature. One of my favorite things is having a little water fountain. music or ambient sounds into your space when you're there on a very, very low level can really make a big difference. I know some people just prefer complete silence in their homes, but if you are someone that likes interesting nature sounds, you could take that into consideration, and that can be involved into your home on a very low budget. You know, a small fountain or a wind chime, you know, is pretty easy to do. I also like hanging a bird feeder near my house so that I get a lot of birds coming nearby, and all their sounds are always very appealing to me. How your space smells is also very important for me, especially because I have a lot of pets, so it can smell like dog hair very quickly. I love to use smokeless incense or oil, or my preferred, which is usually a candle, in order to make the space smell really fresh and nice. And of course that goes hand in hand with sweeping and vacuuming, but it is something that really makes a big difference. And smells do make a difference with how we feel. What we smell really does impact us more than we think. I also like hanging little glass fascinators on my window if I get direct light, so that it can cast little rainbows on the ground. It makes such a wonderful difference. Even if you have a space that's simple, just having that light come in such an interesting way, I always find really makes me happy. I also really love to use little decorative edges. I don't know what they're called, but I'll show some images of them. But I love to use those little decorative edges in order to add something really interesting to a window or a corner in my kitchen. It always makes such a difference. It's very specific to my style, which is a little more old-fashioned and whimsical, but I thought I would offer that as an option to you as well. I love hanging things in my windows that are always interesting. I love having plants, having life in my space. Even if you don't get direct light, you can use plant lights and just bring in so much life and loveliness in your space. I hope this was somewhat interesting to you. It's definitely a passion project for me. I just love decorating, and now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is try painting the walls a little bit with some fun designs and show you how strange lady I am that I want to paint birds on my wall. So yes, maybe if you are a little fairy at heart, you may also want to imbue your space with some of this pixie dust, but if not, listen to your heart, whatever works for you and whatever makes you feel comfortable. It's not about things, it's about the feeling you're looking for in your space. I'm sending my love, wishing you a wonderful week. Goodbye.